Welcome back, everybody, to the Squatchers Lounge podcast. That's right. I am your host, the Reverend Jeff Kelly. This week, we are talking Bigfoot tracks of Ray Wallace. What was wrong with Ray Wallace's Bigfoot tracks? Well, actually, a lot. We're going to talk about that tonight. Got a Quasi Rewind and a brand new camping tips for stupids. All followed up by a Bigfoot Campfire Story. Yes, sir. We are back live on the air this evening, and it is the last week of March of 2019. That's right. The Bigfoot Campout is coming June 12th through June 16th in the Pi Valley of California. A well-known Bigfoot corridor all down the historical bypass all the way out to the Lower Tahoe area. And that's where we'll be going to hunt the elusive creature this summer. Open to the public, free of charge, other than the cost of your arrival and survival. That's right. That's what it's going to be. Welcome, everybody. This week, we're going to start out with a little bit of newsy. That's if the sharing application will allow us to do that today. We're going to give it a shot. And we are successful today. Yay. Who knew that was going to be the case? All right. Starting out the week. That's right. Posted here on my timeline this week, the story of Lason's Ishi, the last wild Native American. Ishi emerged from the wilderness near Lassen Park and into the modern world in 1911. He had no idea what the impact of the legacy of Northern California Native Americans. He was literally the last guy living the tribal life in Northern California. It was August 19th, 1911, when the unknown wild man emerged from the wilderness near Leeson Peak and into the town of Oroville, California. Unable to speak English and desperately looking for food, the man was subsequently captured by locals and put into the local jail by the sheriff for his own safety. That's right. Hey, you're not free anymore, pal. The man would go on to be an important link between the vastly different wild Native Americans and the modernized white culture of the early 1900s. So, clear up until the early 1900s right here in Northern California, which, is past the industrial age, is a lot past the information age. There were still people living in the wild here just in Northern California. To say that there isn't a bipedal ape still roaming around out here is kind of silly. But this dude was legit. If you want to read the story, it is on activenorcal.com. I caught this one out of the Squatchers Lounge Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/SLounge. Flying Witch reported over Turtle Creek near Darien, Wisconsin. Say what? The witness was traveling west on Creek Road on her way to work. As she approached the Turtle Creek Bridge, she observed a large winged being that she described as a flying witch. The being was at treetop altitude and was gliding in her direction. It was early dawn, but enough light was available for her to make out a form. The winged being suddenly descended towards her car and barely missed colliding with the hood. She described the being's wingspan as much wider than her car and that the body was a brownish color like a paper bag. The body looked feminine and slight. The wings were bat-shaped and very large. She never noticed the wings flapping. The speed in which it descended was not natural, and the face was unremarkable, almost blank. She noted that she swerved and almost hit the guardrail. I don't know. I remember seeing something about a drone being shaped like a witch and being flown around at people. And we'll have to see how this one comes out down the road. Okay, the Ashcroft Cache Creek Journal wants to know about the Gold Country fact or legend. The 1939 film version of The Hound of the Bakersfields. Dr. Watson and Sir Henry Bakersfield arrived on Dartmoor on the way to Sir Henry's ancestral home when he was inheriting the following mysterious death of his uncle, with the two men and his local physician, Dr. Mortimer, who tells them of the legend that says nothing ever really dies upon the moor. When asked if he believes, Mortimer replies, "No, if I believed all the legends about this place, I wouldn't live here. I wouldn't have the courage." Now, I don't know how many people believe in the legends are told about Sasquatch or Bigfoot, but if they do believe and they choose to live in some of the more remote parts of this country, then they'll have a good deal of courage. The creature has, according to reports, been seen all over the province in this area, and they have been sightings from Hope to 100 Mile, from Lillooet to Merritt. Some of the stories are fairly mundane, consisting of reports of tall, hairy creature glimpsed at the side of the road, particularly the Pavilion Lillooet area. And in 1993, a group of Cub Scouts camping overnight in a nearby Upper Hat Creek were awakened by a blood-curdling screams of intense volume. And in September and October of 1994, there were two separate reports from hunters at the Leon Creek near Woolwich, describing the first instance of Sasquatch walking in a logged-off area, and in the second, Sasquatch digging in the roots in a clear-cut area. The creature then took huge strides and disappeared into the bush. So, if you're anywhere near the Ashcroft Cache Creek area, keep an eyeball out for the elusive Sasquatch. Hold on, boys. It's a Sasquatch. That's right. All right, we need your help out here from the McDowell News. It's a missing Bigfoot. That's right, the metal silhouette stolen from a Marion yard. McDowell investigators need the public's help locating Bigfoot memorabilia stolen from someone's yard last week. On Sunday, March 15th, Danny Shaw of Hidden View Loop in Marion reported that someone had stolen a 7-foot-tall metal Bigfoot silhouette valued at approximately $100 from his yard. According to Shaw, the silhouette, which was formed out of sheet metal and purchased at a Charlotte auto fair last year, was last seen in his yard on Wednesday, March 13th. The following day, around 5 p.m., Shaw says that his neighbors alerted him that the Bigfoot had gone missing. It costs about $100, but it's priceless to our family, said Shaw. Anyone with information concerning the silhouette's whereabouts or potential suspects is asked to call McDowell County Sheriff's Office at 652-2235 or the McDowell County Crime Stoppers at 65-CRIME. You can also text your tips to the Crime Stoppers. Text TIP McDowell's and then your information to 888-777. Good God, maybe there's a reward for this Bigfoot. Maybe someone will actually finally get paid to find a real Bigfoot. Yeah, that was a dig at the TV show. Anyhow, 24 extremely local cryptids you've probably never heard of. That's right. Full disclosure, cryptids are all around. Believe in the possible existence of cryptids? Well, kind of. They like the idea that there's strange, undiscovered creatures hidden in the shadows out there. So let's take a look at the list here. Old Ned from Lake Utopia, New Brunswick. Apparently, there's a monster in that lake named Old Ned. They call him, and sightings go back into local indigenous folklore. Wow, it's a serpent-like and scaly swimming very quickly across the lake. And you can well imagine hearing that story as the imagination of a 6-year-old. All right, big muddy monster in Murfreesboro, Illinois. Murfreesboro, Illinois, near the Southern Illinois University, has repeated sightings and smellings of the big muddy monster. Many believe it's related to, if not the same, as the Kiev monster sighted near the St. Louis suburb. And this is the animal often likened to Sasquatch in size and appearance, but with a distinct skunky smell. Ooh, doggies. The Bunny Man. Look, you're going to make a monster up. You got to call him something other than the Bunny Man. Okay, the Bunny. I'm not scared of the Bunny Man. I'm going to kick the Bunny Man. Virginia is the Bunny Man. But they don't know if you can consider it a cryptid or a ghost story. One story is that it was a man who escaped the state facility and lived in the forest who wore rabbit pelts to stay warm. The other is the same concept. There's an experiment that goes horribly wrong at the facility, and he becomes half man, half bunny. Does he give out jelly beans? The Rougarou. Of course, we know we're familiar with the Rougarou from all the Bigfoot type shows that are on TV here in Louisiana. The local cryptid is the Rougarou, which has many spellings and derives from the French loup-garou, which literally means werewolf. Although relatively common across the French-speaking world, like so many things, it appears to have gained particular prominence in the swamps of Louisiana. The Lake Worth monster, that's right, Lake Worth, Texas. The wilds of North Tarrant County roamed the Lake Worth monster, supposedly caught on camera in 1969. Never saw it, but caused a big scare. I thought that was supposed to be an alien. The Grassman in Ohio. That's right. The national park has a giant humanoid hominid called the Grassman. 3 toes for some reason, and he hopefully more swamp thing than Bigfoot. The Goat Man, Prince George's County, Maryland. I know exactly where this comes from because I swear one night I was so drunk I saw this thing. Lover's Lane type cryptid that reportedly attacks parked cars with an axe. An escaped experiment from the local USDA or the University of Maryland laboratories. The White River Monster, Newport, Arkansas. Let's see here. Large creature reportedly first spotted off the banks of the White River as far back as the Civil War. Hopkins Goblins. That's right. The Kentucky Goblins, a story of Kelly Green men, a.k.a. Hopkinsville Goblins. In 1955, 2 families were terrorized by aliens or goblins or something. That's right. The Oklahoma Octopus. We're all about Bigfoot in Oklahoma, except for the festival by the terrifying menace is the Oklahoma Octopus. That's right. The Melonheads from Kirtland, Ohio. Melonheads that lived in the woods between Kirkland and Chardon, Ohio. The story was that the doctor who lived in the woods who somehow acquired a bunch of children, possibly from a mental hospital, performed experiments on them. Woo. The Lizard Man of Lee County, South Carolina. I've actually done a few of these on my Monster Info 101. I've got an onion. That's right. The monster thing, the Lizard Man. They actually put out a all points bulletin about people seeing the Lizard Man in South Carolina not that long ago. The Honey Island Swamp Monster. That's right, from Louisiana as well. It was pretty much decided to be a hoax, but they're going to put it in there. The Dire Wolf of Utah. That's right. Dire giant wolves have been around for a long, long time. The Loveland Frogman. Boy, Ohio's full of this kind of crap. The Michigan Dogman. Tell me, Dogman hunters out there, are you looking for dog prints or are you looking for human footprints when you're looking for Dogman? I haven't quite figured out exactly what a Dogman is. If somebody could help me out with the description of that, because nobody seems to be able to agree. The Beulebach from Amsterdam, Netherlands, lives under a bridge across one of the many canals in Amsterdam. Children are told that the Beulebach might come out of his hiding place and grab them, so they better behave. The Mongo Monster from Arizona, Bigfoot type thing. Boy Scout still missing Bigfoot Campfire Story was about that. The Beast of Prey Road, which is, dog-like humanoid running across the road. The Taniwha from New Zealand. Beings that live in deep pools in the rivers, dark caves, or in the sea. Oh, God, I didn't know the list was this damn long. Sorry, people. The Tokoloshi from South Africa is an evil creature about a foot high, resembling an evil monkey. Dude, I would kick that thing. The Bunyip from Australia is the first people's legend a creature who generally lives around water holes and billabongs. Traditionally, they are scary creatures, often translated as evil spirits. Now y'all just making crap up. The Snarlygaster. That's right. The legend of the Snarlygaster has a DC beer jamboree of the same name. The Snarlygaster is a dragon-like beast that was known to inhabit central Maryland in the Middletown area of Frederick. And finally, I can't even pronounce this shit. Bete du Gévaudan. Yeah, I'm a cunning linguist. I know. It's French. Bete du Gévaudan. In France, we had that thing. Yeah. The Gabouton beast. Half real, half myth, and they're not sure what it is, but learning the story in school class got everybody kind of frightened. So there you have 24 cryptids that you've probably never heard of. Yay. Well, that's not true. We've probably heard of half of that list. But that's because we're real freaks in the crypto world. All right, we're back at it, people. And that brings us out of the news and into, that's right, the quasi theory of the week. So let's cue this bad boy up and take a listen to the universe map in your mind. And now, quasi theories from a quasi scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
The map of the universe in your head. So, mommy's tummy. Your little earsies hear some noise. Your butt hurts and you're dizzy because someone has dangled you by your feet and smacked your little bottom. But what is your teensy but rapidly growing and developing brain doing? The brain in which your mind is hiding. Why, it's busily trying to assemble all this noise and wet and cold and aching little butt into a map of the universe. Look in your head. Now, do it. Don't pick up a hammer or a drill. Use your mind's eye. Use your sense of self. The ability to focus your attention outwardly through your senses or inwardly on your mind. Look in. What's going on in there? Probably too much at one time, but look, down under that, there's a map. It's a map in the sense that while you grew up, as you had all that sensory input, all those experiences you have had, have been assembled into a map of those experiences. You usually don't think of it that way, but you've linked all that sensory data into a massive memory with connecting bridges, overpasses, underpasses, clover leaves, sidewalks, escalators, stairways, hallways, and shortcuts, all to make a coherent map of your world. And it's not a 3D map. It's fully four-dimensional. The past is known and the future is under construction. But you've started working out that future road in your imagination, haven't you? And what was the way you made that map? Starting right from that wee baby brain. You did it unconsciously by hypothesis. You still do it. Your mind groups the data, makes an assumption, tests the assumption, and you get your little fingers burnt when you assume that the pretty light is so pretty it can't hurt you, and you stick your hand in the fire. A few years later, you stick it in the light socket to see what makes the lamp turn on. Your hypothesis has been tested. You either revise the hypothesis, retest it, and redraw that part of the map, or Mama finds you toasted to a crisp when you stick your whole arm in the fire, or finds you lying on the floor needing a defibrillator for your little heart. This is the basis of science. You just have to start consciously testing and improving that map in your head, and presto changeo, you're a scientist. This is assuming, of course, that you weren't born with your head up your ass. If that is the case, your map will be quite small and provincial and very self-centered. Observing almost any politician will prove my point. This has been Dean Cooper, quasi-scientist, enlightening you with my quasi-theory of the week. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydin.com. That's BHIDIN.com.
Bydin.com. That's right, the quasi man himself, Mr. Dean Cooper. All right. Next up is a brand new camping tips for stupids. That's right. From the Gone Camping channel and the crazy mind of Jevin Moore. So without further ado, here we go.
Camping tips for stupids. Tip number 77. Springtime isn't just for Hitler, it's for the stormy season too. April showers bring May flowers and lots of bear poo, but also thunderstorms, and that means lightning. Lightning was invented by the ancient dinosaurians 3,000 years ago as a means to kill ant colonies on their driveways. Well, now they're fucking dead, and lightning is striking all over the damn place. When out backpacking or camping in wide open country or high exposed mountains, you gotta be extra careful when thunderstorms roll through the region. Hell, those sons of bitches don't even have to be directly overhead to spit lightning down on your ass. If you ever hear an electric hum from metal parts or static in your hair, a lightning strike is forming to come down on you like Thor saw a spider on your head. And forget about hiding under the isolated tree or the tallest tree in the area, because that's the new lightning rod for the day. Picnic shelters, outhouses, or anything with metal roofs or parts are also death traps. So store the hot dogs and sausages in those. And if you're out in the open on the trail, squat down, cover your head, and kiss your ass goodbye. Or hope you get awesome superpowers. But you'll probably just die. Good luck! This has been Camping Tips for Stupids. Remember to spay and neuter your idiot population.
Well, there you go, folks. Remember to spay and neuter your idiot population. Yeah, no, lightning strikes are no joke. In much of the country, you know, right now it's springtime, and that brings a lot of lightning and a lot of thunder, and you shouldn't be out in it. Just like, don't do it. All right, now it's time for shout outs and the hangout. That's right. Well, I say hi to you because y'all are watching live tonight on a crazy Wednesday night. Let's see who is in the place. I know that there were people that were there, but I can't see them now. So we'll go to the top and we'll say, oh God, every single week I get that in my beard. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Natalie Smith, she's in the house with us tonight. Hope you're feeling well. Jonathan Dowdy's there. There he is. Keith Harden, that's right. Maria, is that an I or an L? I don't know. Allegria, because he can't distinguish between capital I's and L's in this stupid font. You're Hobo Man 5. How you doing, pal? Can Squanch is in the house with us. Spike Jeff, there he is. Dean Cooper, your quasi theorist. There he is, hanging out. Mr. Don Reif, how you doing, sir? We'll be looking forward to that the Renfest coming up here in May. We'll be hanging out at that one as well. Barry Bishop, how you doing there, champ? Glad you are with us. Jonathan Dowdy, if I didn't say hello to you, have now. Marijuana affects the short-term memory. It really, really does. And I have a bad one to begin with. Dave Thunderclouds in the house. How you doing there, pal? Glad you are with us as well. There's the Squatch Box, and I'm sure Christopher is hanging out with him. That boy is such a good kid. I hope he stays that way. Let's see here. Who else is hanging out with us tonight? We. How you doing? Glad you are with us as well. I know there's more people. There he is. The Life and Times of JCM, Mr. Jevin Moore himself, the Gone Camping dude. I know there's more people here. I'm just, for some reason, just like spazzing out. They're not showing up. Barry Bishop, Rod Dupree. He's always in the place to be, of course. Yeah, there we go. Summer, the Galaxy Robot. Hi, back at you. And I think I'm at the bottom of the list now. So if you haven't said hi to me, I don't know that you're here. So can't say hi back to you, or I would. All right. At least we're not dealing with the David Palaudi's crap tonight. Thank God. We shall see. We definitely shall see. All right. So on to the night's topic. That's right. The Ray Wallace Bigfoot tracks. That's right. You know, the strange thing about it is and this was no one can really put a finger on when the Wallace footprints actually started. This is a picture of Ray Wallace with all of his famous Bigfoot casts. But if you'll notice at them here, they're all relatively exactly the same and exactly wrong for any type of living foot. But back in the 50s and the early 60s, people didn't know exactly what was going on. Now, the London Daily Telegraph actually brought this particular article on in 1995. But as you can look here at these particular casts, and here's a picture of an impression of one of the wooden carved foots of Ray Wallace's in the sand before it was cast. London, the existence of Bigfoot, a Yeti-like humanoid creature whose giant footprints were said to have been found in America, was probably an elaborate hoax. According to new research, the tracks measuring 40.5 centimeters by 18 centimeters could have been made by a foot carved from wood, suspended from cables, and pressed into the mud. The Bigfoot phenomenon, which spawned a commercial culture in America that includes Bigfoot pizzas, special snow skis, began in October of 1958 when a team of road builders took a plaster cast of a footprint they claimed was found at Bluff Creek, north of the Klamath, California. Photographs were published around the world, and several cryptozoologists, people dedicated to researching the existence of such creatures as the abominable snowman, began detailed investigations. Now, Lauren Coleman, of course, is the curator of the Bigfoot Museum, the Crypto Museum in Maine. He claims the Bigfoot was a prank played on the men by their boss, Mr. Ray Wallace. In a paper presented to the Fortean Times Unconvention 1995 at the University of London, he said previously unpublished letters from researchers threw doubt on the theory of Bigfoot ever walked in Bluff Creek. Another Bigfoot hoax was aired in 1982 when a retired Washington state logger, Rant Mullins, claims he spurred the legend of Bigfoot at Mount St. Helens by carving wooden feet to leave large footprints. Coleman said that the circumstances of the Bluff Creek discovery had never been seriously examined before. Zoologist Ivan T. Sanderson, who spent much time researching Bigfoot and interviewed all the parties concerned in the find, while never publicly expressing doubts about the authenticity of the Bigfoot prints, he did in private letters. Now, this is a picture of the Jerry Crewcast, and we've talked about this. And about as far as about the article I want to go to, I don't want to go to Cryptozoology News and check it out for yourself, the whole thing. But the cast that Jerry has in his hand here is way different than the cast that old Ray is holding in his hands here in carved wooden prints. I can tell you for sure that whatever left this footprint in the ground was definitely not these wooden footstands at all. Now, Ray Wallace at 84 took his Bigfoot secret to the grave, and now his kids are the ones that were spilling it. This is from an article December 9th of 2002. Toledo, Washington, there wasn't enough room in Ray Wallace's grave for him and his hoax. So now the truth is out. Bigfoot didn't exist, or at least not the Bigfoot that Wallace helped make famous. Wallace, a former logger, converted the imaginary into celebrity in 1958 when he recorded Bigfoot sounds. He played faithful like a violin and giggling behind his hand the whole time. He was a prankster, but never malicious. The Sun said Thursday he just liked playing jokes. Wallace, 84, died November 26th of heart failure, said the Sun, one of 4 boys Wallace and his wife adopted and raised as they worked a series of lumber camps across the Pacific Northwest. In later years, Michael Wallace said that his father ran a menagerie of wild animals from cougars to skunks that reflected his penchant for the unusual. He made a lot of people laugh, and he was a fun family guy to grow up with. Now, I remember when the documentary started in about this time, they really were harping on the Ray Wallace death and the discovery of these wooden type foot markers that they have. Ray Wallace, at the age of 84, controversial figure involved in 44 years of Bigfoot related events, died November 26, 2002 at a Washington nursing home. The Washington State construction tycoon had been ill for some time. It was in Bluff Creek, California, in 1958, which found Ray Wallace's company building a new road through the Northern California. In August through October, Wallace Construction Company's employee Jerry Crew found huge human-like tracks that, to instructions from taxidermist Bob Titmus, Crew made the first plaster cast of the footprint from the hairy, upright creature and his fellow workers called Bigfoot. Crew took the cast to town to quiet local ridicule and show the Humboldt County newspaper editor himself. The photograph of Jerry Crew with the giant plaster of Paris footprint went out over the newswire, and it produced a revolutionary shift from small regional stories of Sasquatch to today's global awareness of the Bigfoot type creatures. So whether or not Ray hoaxed Bigfoot tracks in the Bluff Creek area, we're sure at this point in time in 2019, number one, that he couldn't have hoaxed all of them. Secondly, he didn't hoax most of the ones that are considered to be valuable. Yet people claim that there are Ray Wallace footcasts in Dr. Meldrum's a collection of Bigfoot tracks that had to have been discovered later on, that somebody may have lent a little bit of credibility to that maybe shouldn't have. Now, no region in the county has a lower percentage of churchgoers than the Pacific Northwest, but as people hear about the existence of a camera-resistant, grooming-challenged upright biped known as Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and the true believers shout to the misty heavens in affirmation. So it comes as a considerable blow when the children of Ray L. Wallace announced that their prank-loving pop had created the modern myth of Bigfoot when he used a pair of carved wooden feet to stomp a track of oversized footprints in a Northern California logging camp in 1958. Mr. Wallace, 84, died November 26 at a nursing home. And, you know, all of these started coming out after he died in November. This one's from January 3rd of 2003. It's like they wanted to just they wanted to just pronounce the Bigfoot thing over with, yet, you know, that nobody came to any real conclusions other than the fact that what Ray Wallace was putting up as Bigfoot tracks were definitely not the real thing. Okay, all right. So, the Bigfoot Festival happening near Cleveland, and you're absolutely going to want to go. I have no idea why this is, where this is. Once upon a time, the families gathered around the television to watch Mulder and Scully search for the truth. Now they're preparing for an event where Bigfoot is the head of it. The event has been an Ohio tradition since 2012 as one of the premier Bigfoot conferences in the world. So the Ohio Bigfoot Conference is coming up on May 4th, 2019. And they say you don't want to miss it. That's for sure. This should have been in the news, I'm sure, but that's what happens when we do things the way we want to. All right, don't forget the Operation Pie t-shirts are available on our Redbubble campaign. Redbubble.com/people/Bigfoot Watch will get you directly there. You don't have to go, but if you buy a shirt, you'll help support the cause. A shirt, a sticker, a mug, whatever you want, doesn't really matter. It's a limited campaign and will be taken down once the event is over. That's right. T-shirts are just $21, and there are podcast T-shirts up there as well. And the Patreon account at patreon.com/Cryptid Corner. That's right. You too can become a patron of ours. Support what we do here. If you like what we do here, $1 a month gets you access to the entire feed. You'll get all the story content that is up there and the new stuff to come as well. And I've just decided that I'm going to start putting the Wednesday night podcast up early for patrons instead of waiting until afterwards to do so. I don't know why I didn't think of that before now. So with that, that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. We do have another Bigfoot Campfire Story coming at you right now. I wanted to see if Sam Squatch Rivera, there he is. He popped in a little bit late. We want to make sure we get to say hello to him as well. Big Dog Alpha. Wow, I haven't seen you out here live for a while, buddy. Glad you are with us here tonight as well. So I think that does it. I don't think I missed anybody else. And enjoy this Bigfoot Campfire Story. We will see you again next week right here at Squatchers Lounge Podcast. That's right. Thank you so much for being here, and may the Squatch be with you. What the hell is that? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that was a Bigfoot. There's the forest cop, too. Sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to miss you. Let me tell you a story. Well, this story comes to us from deep in the southern forests of Florida. I've been camping on a spring in the northeast section of the Ocala National Forest, and I come into the general store for supplies when the clerk asked me jokingly how my Bigfoot hunt was going. Well, as I began to reply, another shopper approached me, and he asked if we could talk privately. That's when he told me this story. We've been camping at Alexander Springs for about a week now. This place was pretty well used during the day, but this time late of year, not so many campers would stay overnight, so the place cleared out pretty good at night. The first couple of nights, it was kind of spooky as there was no one around. My wife and I would take walks after dark to find not another soul, not even a park ranger. Well, by the third night, we'd kind of gotten used to the sounds of nothing and what little bit of animal activity there was, and we began to settle down. Well, we had gotten a little sloppy that night after drinking and eating, and we didn't clean up before we went to bed. Well, just about midnight, I awoke to a poke in the back, over and over and over, and my wife had heard something right outside of the tent. I thought surely she was mistaken, so we sat quietly for a bit, and sure enough, something or someone was out playing around with the cooler lid. Well, the fire was still burning, but it didn't help to see quite out that far. I decided the time had come, so I grabbed my flashlight and I quickly unzipped the tent. I sprung forth from the tent and I picked up the wood axe laying on the ground and began to look around. Well, the cooler was now knocked over and things were scattered all over the place, and I noticed that there was an entire gallon of vodka, bottle and all, missing. There's nowhere else to be found. Well, I called the wife out of the tent and stoked up the fire so she could settle her nerves, and sure enough, something seemed to be out and around in camp. Well, we sat by the fire for a long time listening to the night, and I could swear every so often I could hear a cough or a grunt, but I could never see that far into the night. That's when it happened. The vodka bottle came flying into camp from the bushes just beyond and crashing, breaking empty on the ground. Well, I turned my flashlight to the area, and I lit up what was a beast. Was far more surprised than I was. It was pure darkness outside of the eye, as I could see. It covered its face with its arm, and it screamed loudly and quickly crashed off into the night. Well, the wife and I decided, well, that was quite enough. We didn't even pack up the camp. We just got into the car and left the park as quickly as we could get out. We got to the gate of the park, and it was still locked, which was as common each night. Finally, after fumbling with the combination enough, I got the gate open, and, well, we made it here to this general store, and we've been sitting here till it opened. We figured we'd get some supplies before we go back to pack up. Well, this poor fellow and his wife sure seemed to know how to party with Bigfoot. I wonder if he had a nasty hangover afterwards. Thanks for listening. I'm Reverend Jeff. I may the Squatch be with you.